So we run a cultural affirmation day today at Tuggerah Public School with K to 6. Mm-hmm. What was the day like, ladies?
Awesome.
Yeah, it was
It
really
was so good.
Yeah, what made it awesome?
For me, it was just really special as a non-Aboriginal person to be involved in watching these kids become more and more aware of their culture as the day went on, and feeling by the end of it when they did the dance, seeing the pride and happiness in their face was so good.
I feel like that was probably the best part, is seeing the kids at the start be real shame and shy and not want to do it because I don't know and I'm not sure, and at the end literally everyone was like going for it like 100%, trying out all the animals and
cheering
it was
each
just,
other on. I loved that.
They all painted each other up.
Yeah.
I loved that. Like they each did a little bit. It was good. They were so excited running around, like trying to copy us, which I really loved.
Yeah.
That they were looking at our faces and our pride, and that was really like going back onto them.
Yeah.
So Jess and Nikki, what did it mean to you being a part of this kind of program and being able to like help support us to run this with the kids?
Like Nikki said, it was a beautiful opportunity to see the kids come in, and they were quite nervous and scared, and then when they left they had big smiles, big thank yous. It was just really beautiful to see the change and see how proud they were, and I think see that confidence within themselves grow.
Yeah.
One of the themes of this year's NAIDOC week is always was, always will be, and that's something we really want to talk about today. I think running this program was really important. I had a lot of kids, I asked them if they knew the theme, and I talked to them a little bit about why learning culture and learning your own culture is especially important with a theme like this, in respecting and acknowledging the fact it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. So I wanted to go around and ask each of you, what does always was, always will be mean to you and to your work? So Rharnnie, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. When I think of always was, always will be, I just think back to my childhood and really reflect. And I'm very fortunate, very hands-on parents with the culture side of it, and it really just reminds me of that. Like that's what I've been taught, it's what I've been brought up to believe, and as I've grown I've realised that not everyone has that view and weren't that lucky. So it's nice to see that slowly. I think we're trying as a country to get a little bit better, but we still have a long way to go.
Yeah. And Nikki, what about you?
For me, a bit the same as Rharnnie. It's a little too late.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it last night before I came here today and thought what a different place this would be if in 1770 they stepped off the ship and said, it's their land, let's work with them, and how different our world would be. But yeah, I think it's really important. That didn't happen, obviously, and we are where we are today. But I think it's just really important to plant that seed. Just plant the seed with people and put the word out there, and yeah.
So Jess, what does always was, always will be mean to you and to your work?
Yeah, so as a non-Aboriginal person, it's an opportunity to reflect on our past and really work in partnership with the Aboriginal people to change the future for the better. Yeah. And I try my best to reflect that in my work. So.
Amy, what about you?
I think for me, always was, always will be. I think it's a really timely theme, and it's kind of a bit of a coincidence with all of the things that have happened this year. And, so always was, always will be. For me, especially in the last few weeks with all the sacred sites and earlier in the year, with the sacred site being destroyed earlier in the year as well by the mining companies, I think for me it's a celebration, but also it's a bit of a sad thing because we're in 2020 and we're still having to fight for our sacred sites to be sacred, and unfortunately that has happened. But also for me, moving forward, it supports me to be more environmentally conscious and to really do my job as an Aboriginal woman to look after the earth that was given to us, and like my ancestors did before me, and to really nurture and sow back into the earth and into the animals and things like that. So.
And what about for your work?
Yeah, I think for my work, always was, always will be. I think, you know, when I work with Indigenous and non-Indigenous clients, I think for me it's always about educating and supporting their knowledge around Aboriginal culture and what the land means to us, and why our totems and our things like that, like animals, and what that represents. So I think for me, always was, always will be, is a continuation of culture, you know, and really being able to the wisdom and the knowledge that I have from, you know, my elders and people in the community that I know and have so greatly and freely given to me. It's my job now to give that on and to really support children, young people and families to be able to be proud and to have knowledge of culture and have knowledge of what has been and hopefully pave the way for what will be.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I think I would agree with you, Amy, on with always was, always will be being the theme for this year. In some ways, like I love, and in some ways it's kind of painful having so many things happen this year where our land that always was and always will be Aboriginal land have been destroyed. You know, we were just talking earlier today about the Japarang tree that was cut down, the directions tree, sacred trees, and there's more trees in Victoria that are about to be cut down for the sake of a 2-minute road. And for me to have a theme saying it always was and always will be Aboriginal land, it feels very lip servicey.
Yeah, tokenistic.
Yeah. So for me, it's about how can we take that theme that's given from, you know, a big organisational body and create it into something real. So doing activities like this is how I'm able to translate that in my life and in my work. And for me, the two of those are really enmeshed. So creating opportunities for these kids, some of whom were the same as me when I was a kid. Yeah. And I had very little cultural knowledge. And my nan was far too ashamed to share anything about her past because it was really horrific. So to be able to give these kids things that I didn't have when I was little and that I've learnt and that my peers have given and shared to me is like, it's so empowering. Yeah. And to get these kids to understand that they're living and learning on dark and young land. Yeah. And that's amazing, and they should be proud of that. And to have them today talking, like learning some of the language words for their animals and being excited about that. And when I said, where are the gunnies, like the echidnas, and they would know what the word meant by the end of the day, it was really like awesome. Yeah. So for me, I think, you know, it's translating that back into the real world and not being a tokenistic, let's tick a box and say, oh yes, we believe in Aboriginal people. Yeah. Let's make it real.
And I think too, for the young kids, on the back of what you were just saying, don't let your culture die. Yeah. You know, like I could see a lot of them were maybe a little bit apathetic in the beginning of the day and a little bit like, oh, you know, why am I here and what am I doing? But then by the end of the day, they had really embraced who they were. And I think that's so important, whether it comes down to language and history. The heroes that we went through today was really important. They really enjoyed that.
And
Pride is so good.
Absolutely.
So
and I think for me, like the highlight of my day was when those two girls at the end of the day, they came in and asked Brooke and I for the language, the dark and young language for like the different things. And they're like, tomorrow we're gonna teach our class all the words. Yeah. Our teacher wants us to teach the class all the words. Nice. And I was just like, oh, if that's like the one takeaway from today, I'm stoked. Yeah. I'm so happy because then those two girls are gonna go into their class and teach non-Aboriginal kids about our language and you know
whose
about
land they're on.
That's right. About
that it always was and always will be Aboriginal land.
And those kids those non-Aboriginal kids will then be like, oh, Mum, did you know? Oh, Dad, you know, and have those conversations like going home, and then you know that hopefully might spark a bit of, you know, stuff for parents to kind of go, oh, actually, this is important. This is part of our kids' lives, and you know they're growing up with kids who are Aboriginal, so it's important to raise kids in a really culturally safe and sensitive way.
It's a good opportunity for those kids, and I was really supporting kids to, you know, asking them, do you know who your mob is? Do your parents know? Maybe go home and ask the question. That's opening the gate, it's opening the door for parents to share the knowledge that they do have, because a lot of the times your kids can seem a little disinterested with stuff, and you know, I'm always trying to be like to my daughter, go dance, come on, let's go and do some cultural stuff, and she's like, I don't care. But if she did a program like this, she would come home and ask me a million questions.
Absolutely.
And that would make me so happy and proud as an Aboriginal mother to an Aboriginal daughter. Like, honestly, I'm hoping that's what's going to come out of today.
And today, it was so fun for the kids. It was interactive, every single activity was interactive, and it was good. But that was going to be my point too, the fact that they're then going to go home and they're going to share, because there was a couple of kids that didn't know whether to leave their pictures there today or take them home, because they're like, I want to take it home and talk to mum and dad about it. Take it home.
Yeah, people were like, I want a headband for my baby sister. I was like, okay, go on. And to finish off, before we go, can everybody tell me what NAIDOC Week just in general means to you? So I might start this way so I don't keep picking on you, Rharnnie. Yeah. For me, like NAIDOC Week, we joke around and say, it's like Black Christmas. So I'm trying to extend it out to NAIDOC month, NAIDOC year, because I think a little anecdote I like to use is if you only celebrate your relationship on Valentine's Day, it sucks. Your relationship sucks. So we should be celebrating Aboriginal culture, Aboriginal people, Aboriginal land every single day. I think in Interrelate, we're working towards that, and that's what makes it a really great place for me to work. But NAIDOC Week is a really good opportunity for me to just be like, I'm Black. Hi everybody, I'm Aboriginal. Hi, let me teach you more about culture. And it opens people's ears to want to learn about it. They're hearing about it on the TV and the media, and they can come to me and ask those questions. And because we've created a safe space at Interrelate, I quite love it. NAIDOC Week this year is much better for me than it was in previous years where I was not working in a safe place. I can celebrate and be happy at home and at work, and so for me that's really good.
Beautiful. I think for me, like my NAIDOC Week is generally like when we go out in community and do events. That's when I get to see little aunties and uncles that I haven't seen for a year since NAIDOC Week. Like, because busy life and people move around, COVID. So for me, it's like I kind of get my cup filled up a little bit by like my elders and people that I knew from my teenage years and my when I was a kid. So for me, I love going to the events and connecting back with them as well. So that for me is I just really, to be honest, it's just a big social event really the whole week. I love it. I'm like, do this and do that event and then you just see all the people and
it's hard that we can't this year. I'm glad we got to do this at least.
I'm really mourning that this year, not being able to go out in community, like Gosford NAIDOC Day. I love that. I have gone to that day since I was 13, so that's like a long time. So I'm really mourning that this year because it'll be my first one that I've missed in 15 years.
Oh wow.
So and that's my I just love it. I love it so much. I love just hanging out in community and seeing community, and it just always feels very connected and community based, and so I'm really actually sad that we're going to miss out this year. But happy that we get to have a NAIDOC celebration.
Yeah.
I think for me, NAIDOC Week is a chance for me to reflect on how I can grow as a non-Aboriginal person and how I can kind of work in partnership more and how I can do my bit to create change, I think, to make the community better for everyone.
Very much the same as Jess, actually, but also, that just for white folk in general, it's a really beautiful opportunity to be able to come forward and get that education and ask questions and not be scared to ask those questions.
It's a privilege to have a space like that.
Absolutely, and get the right information from the right people and learn how to, I guess jump in and fight and stand next to you as well. So, and Interrelate, you're right, absolutely provides that safe space. And for us as workers as well, like this is, my second Aboriginal thing that I've done with you guys because I did Reconciliation Day, and it's really special, and I've learned so much. So, it's been great.
And Rharnnie?
For me, I think the word that stands out is education.
Yeah.
So whether that's, educating my peers, my colleagues, go to my daughter's school and harassing them, be like, what are you doing this week?
Yeah.
Where are you going? Like going to my son's school, educating and just, really opening up those conversations. I love when people ask me questions. I love when people ask me to help. It's just, like Nikki said, giving that right information back out. Yeah, definitely. I think being only on the coast for 3 years, NAIDOC Week, we have gone every year since we've been here, and it's nice to get in the community, see what's going on, even, see what organisations are around. You're like very surprised at the people that you run into and you remember them, and it's like a sense of belonging.